Michael Porter, who's pictured here, is an economist at the Harvard Business School. He became famous in 1979 when he wrote an article in the Harvard Business Review that set out for the first time his famous five forces model. That model became a central part of thinking about business strategy in a practical way. About the first half of our course is going to be focusing on the economic ideas behind this model. I'm going to use this picture to illustrate the five forces model. And what it revolves around is a business firm that's going to be the center of our attention. And that firm can be described as being in an industry. Now, in economics, the word industry has kind of a special meaning. It doesn't mean industry in the sense of a factory or manufacturing or anything like that. It's any kind of collection of businesses that produce a very similar product. So we could talk about the car industry, we could talk about the financial services industry, we could talk about hair salons as an industry, or the people who offer driving lessons as an industry. So it's just a collection of firms that offer a similar product that's similar enough that we could say that they are in the same market. And the central part of his model deals with the relationship between the firms in the industry. So how much rivalry, how much competition goes on between existing firms. As we'll see, firms would quite possibly prefer peace as opposed to war, but sometimes competition may be inevitable. So that's one of the five forces, is this intra-industry rivalry between existing firms. Another force that Porter identifies is the potential for new firms to come into this industry and disturb the situation that goes on there. The basic lesson that we'll get from that is not too surprising. The existing firms in the industry would prefer to have fewer competitors rather than more. However, they may or may not be able to prevent the entry of new firms. Another issue that is going to affect the firms in the industry that we're going to be thinking about is the possibility that there are firms in other industries that are offering products that could be substitutes for our own. So that could also threaten the profitability of the firms in this industry. So each of these five forces that gets considered here is something that's going to potentially affect the profitability, the competitiveness of the firm that we're thinking about, as well as its neighbors in the industry itself. Another force that Porter identified is the bargaining power of the suppliers that firms in the industry purchase things from. So the greater the bargaining power of suppliers, the greater our costs going to be in this industry, and all else equal, the lower profits would be. Similarly, on the other side, what about the bargaining power of buyers or of customers? The greater that is, the more difficult life will be for the firms in this industry. They may find the prices of their products forced down by powerful buyers. So we're going to spend the next few weeks considering each of these competitive forces and the economic ideas underlying it. I've just included in D2L a link with Michael Porter, 10-15 minute long interview in which he discusses this model. You can also look up through our library the original article that describes it.